dear friends. Today I'm going to talk to you about knowing your emotions and changing your lives. There would have been instances in all of our lives when we felt overwhelmed by our emotions and did things that we later regret, right? So how do we build healthier relationship with our emotions so that our emotions are in sync with our intentions, our goal, and whom we want to be? Before we try to understand our emotions, we need to have some understanding of what happens in our brains when we are emotional. So, there's this simple hand model of the brain. This represents your brain, and this is your brainstem. The brainstem is responsible for all bodily functions such as breathing, digestion, sleeping, waking, etc. And this is your limbic system or your emotional brain, and this is your prefrontal cortex or your thinking brain. Now, what happens when you get emotional? When you get emotional, your emotional brain fires, and this connection between your thinking brain and your emotional brain is cut off. And now it's just the emotional brain that's there. All you want to do is throw things, shout out, cry your hearts out, but you really can't think, right? So if you need to make sense of your emotions, you need to re-establish this connection with your thinking brain. So how do you do that? One simple way to do that is by taking deep breaths. Because when you're emotional, you're breathing faster, you're sweating, your muscles are stiff. And when you take a deep breath, it sends the message to your emotional brain that things are okay and maybe it can take a step back. And then this connection is re-established and you're able to think through things. Another way to do it is to spend time with someone whom you trust so that it sends the message to your emotional brain that things are okay. So once you have calmed yourself down and you are able to think with your thinking brain, you need to try to make sense of your emotions. So the first step is identifying what emotions you're experiencing at the moment. It is a little complicated because most of the times you're experiencing multiple emotions at a time, and emotions are very similar to each other that it may confuse you. For example, just imagine that your friends have gone out without you. What do you feel? Do you feel sad? Do you feel angry? You feel mad, right? You feel angry that they didn't ask you. You feel sad that you're missing out on all the fun. You feel a kind of resentment towards yourself because they didn't call me, maybe because I'm not fun to be around with. So you feel all these. So you need to identify these separate emotions you're going through. And then you need to be there with yourselves. You need to tell yourselves it's okay to feel sad, it's okay to feel bad. So you need to try to understand what you're going through, how bad you're feeling, how sad you're feeling, how angry you're feeling, and just try to be there for yourselves. And then you need to also figure out the thoughts behind your emotions. For example, if you're feeling scared before an exam, why do you feel scared? You feel scared because you think that you might not be able to remember things you have learned. You might forget things once you enter the examination hall. Now, this is a thought. You've identified the thought. Now we need to examine whether your thoughts are true, because most of the times our brains may fool ourselves, our thoughts may fool ourselves. So we need to ask ourselves, is it true? Do I always forget things when I enter examination hall? Yes, there would have been things I forgot, but there would also have been things I remembered, right? You need to figure out the difference between this, and you need to find out what worked and what did not work. So you've proved your thoughts wrong. It's not that I always forget things when I enter the examination hall. So here you have handled your emotions to a certain extent, but also there's one more step you need to do. You need to do something about changing your emotional state, because most of the times when you're sad, you think about other things which makes you sad. When you're angry, you think about other instances where people have been unfair to you and you feel more angry. When you're happy, you look for things that make you more happy. So you need to change this emotional state. So if you're scared of a presentation, what happens when you sit at home and not do that presentation? Your brain starts thinking that you're not good at it, right? You need to break it. You need to maybe try to do the presentation. So your brain thinks, okay, it's not that bad as I thought. And when you're sad, you need to do something to make yourselves feel better. And the best thing is to move your body, to go for a walk or do some exercise, because when you engage in physical activity, your brain produces the happy neurotransmitters, endorphin, which makes you feel better. So you need to do some physical activity, or maybe you could talk to someone, talk to a close friend, or maybe you could cook something for yourself. Do something so that your brain feels rewarded. You do something that's rewarding for you. So these are the 4 steps to know your emotions. First step is cooling yourselves down. The second step is to identify your emotions and be there with yourself. And third step is to identify the thoughts behind your emotions. And the fourth step is to act to change the emotional state you are in. And I hope all of you would be able to follow this and would be able to have better connections with your emotions, with your inner selves, and be able to live more authentic lives. May the peace and blessings of the Almighty be with all of you. Thank you so much.